How many of those do you think are traders? How many of those do you think are investors? I'll let you take a guess.
I would go 0% traders, 100% investors.
You are one of the first people I've ever talked to get that right. It is 0% traders. And the billionaires in the world, they are either stock investors. They could be public companies or private. Private would be like your venture capitalists or private equity. Real estate investors or entrepreneurs. They're investing in themselves. That's where the billionaires fall. So yeah, it's the long-term buying and then reinvesting more as opposed to the trading, entering, exiting. You might as well go to the local casino and you'll probably have better chances of making money.
Let's impact some men today. I think we're going to do a great job. Men today are chasing success, but often feel isolated, overworked, or unfulfilled. Welcome to the Modern Man Podcast, where we connect men in pursuit of their potential. I encourage you to join us as we embrace discomfort, cultivate community, and put wind in each other's sails. Now, before we jump into the episode, I first want to ask that you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share this with somebody else you know can also get value from this episode. Also, don't forget, for the men that are watching or listening, check out the Noble Knights Men's Group, where you can find the support, the accountability, and the mentorship you need to achieve your goals. I'm so excited because we're getting wind in our sails today from my guest, who is the founder and CEO of Tykr, an investing platform that empowers more than 12,000 customers across 50 plus countries to navigate the stock market with confidence. With over 2 decades in corporate business and 15 plus years in wealth building, he has worn the hats of entrepreneur, investor, and consultant. And today he is wearing the hat of guest. It is my pleasure to have Sean Tepper on the podcast out of Milwaukee. Sean, thanks for joining us today, brother.
Ted, thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And before we jump into the subject matter today, I always love giving an opportunity for the audience and the guests to get acquainted in a unique way. And the simple question is, if you were to walk into a room, Sean, nobody knows who you are, what you do, and you're forced to introduce yourself. How do you go about doing that?
Oh gosh, I know most people go with career. I would say, let's go personal side. I don't take myself too serious. I'm big into health and fitness. I do enjoy playing golf, even though I'm not going pro anytime soon. But, I do a lot of mountain biking. Living in Wisconsin, we got lakes everywhere. We got trails everywhere. So I love the outdoors and I love to travel with my wife. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And then business side, it's, I love building, my business, Tykr, and we can get into that in a little bit, but, I love investing. Tykr helps people invest. So that's kind of overview of me.
Yeah. How did you discover investing? We could start there. The origin story. What was the first dollar you invested? How did it find you?
Well, investing actually came about as kind of a lesson learned. I had my first business in the 2000s. Really building an agency where we served small and mid-sized businesses, some larger corporations, but I learned over 4 years, and I was building a business through the recession, so it was very, very difficult. But we did go through a merger in 2010. Thank God. I wanted to get out of that business because it wasn't a scalable business. And it was a business where I was trading my time for a paycheck. So after that merger, which I will say a service business, there was no $1 million check written. It was debts and liabilities wiped clean and I get a fresh start. So just note, if you're building a service business, you're selling it for a big profit isn't really the goal. It should be to create a lifestyle. So anyway, got out of that and I wanted to figure out, how do I flip the equation and get money working for me? So I was looking at investing as that strategy. I'll keep this real short, but I did it for 5 years, maybe keeping up with S&P 500. And I knew that Warren Buffett and the late Charlie Munger, they were able to consistently beat the market. So I had to figure out a way to do what they do. And I needed a software to help automate that. And that was around 2015. And then, and I can finish the story there, but I'll stop. But that's my beginning to investing, is like, learn how to get money working for you, invest the wrong way, and then learn how to do it eventually the right way.
Yeah. Now, a lot of us are thankful for the journeys of the people ahead of us. Someone like you to tell us, how does the money work for me? Because unfortunately, we spend a lot of our time chasing the time for money exchange. And even a
Yeah.
lot of folks listening to this podcast might find themselves in that situation. Because when I first started working, I got my working papers at 14 years old. And the next day, I had a job. And then I was saving money. I was working. I was always a
Sure.
worker, but I remember when I was working hourly, Sean, I was like, man, I can't wait until I'm salaried. And then when I got salaried, I'm like, man, like it's great to get this salary that I negotiated and get paid on my days off, but like now I'm capped at what I can make, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm like, man, I want to eat what I kill. I want commission. Um, but there's layers to this that we learn along the way. But we almost have to find that out the hard way. I'm curious as to when you started making that transition in your thought process. Was it
Yeah.
while you were climbing up the corporate ladder, still making what I would call effective income, right? But
Right.
not quite there
Yeah.
yet. What was that transition in mindset like?
It was that first business actually between 2006 and 2010. We served a lot of like, and I'll give you a kind of a range of businesses we served, from restaurants to like car dealerships to hair salons, over to some larger corporations. But the real aha moment was when we served like a SaaS business or two, a subscription play. E-commerce, yes, but SaaS was like top of the food chain, and I was like, "Oh, okay, like that's where I need to be. That's the business of business models." And that opened my eyes to like the Salesforce business, CRMs of the world, or email marketing platforms like Mailchimp and Constant Contact, or even Netflix was starting to, remember those days, get away from
Hmm.
DVDs to their subscription play. And I'm like, and even Adobe moved from the CD bundles to subscription. I'm like, their profits and their stock price just went through the roof after that. I'm like, the subscription play is where you want to be. However, in 2010, 11, I didn't have any good ideas. So that's when I went to work for corporate, which I didn't love, but it was great experience on how to build and scale a bigger business. And I tried a few businesses along the way, which were failures. I kept swinging, you could say, on that bat and kept swinging and striking out, but finally kind of took like a passion for investing, aha moment that, ooh, there's not a lot of competitors in the space of analytics and education. There's plenty of brokers out there like Robinhood, E-Trade, Schwab, but not a lot of analytics tools. I'm like, it's like if you're on the football field, you'll see that open gap. It's like, okay, there's
Hmm.
a hole here. I'm running through it.
Yeah.
And that worked. I finally, after enough failures, I found something that's timed right, but Tykr's a subscription play. So in my opinion, it's the dream business. But to be honest with you, it's now a 15-year journey, and took 10 years to come up with find an idea. But now we're 5 years into building Tykr, so it's a 15-year journey, and we're close to cash flow positive. But it tells you, I mean, it takes a long time to. You want to do something you love to do. It does not happen overnight.
Yeah. Oh man, I heard that advice. Someone says, "Don't do what you love. Do what makes you money first, and then do what you love." And I'm like, yeah, it's so hard though because there's a
Right.
battle between.
Right? Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I want to get to the aha moment in a second, but first, something I picked
Sure.
up on was situational awareness. You mentioned recognizing the SaaS companies, the subscription models, and then
Yeah.
seeing the transition of what's going on with Netflix. And we talk a lot about situational awareness for on this podcast for the audience, because I think a lot of folks, not the general audience that we're speaking to, but most of the general public, they get caught ball watching, right? They see the
Yeah.
trend pass them by and they never ride that wave. They kind of see it crash and hit the beach and think, man, that was a crazy wave. But to piggyback off the football analogy that you mentioned, how important is it for the folks listening to have more of a peripheral view and an eye of what's happening on the field, not just what's in front of them?
I grew up an athlete, and I guess, and we actually use this phrase for hiring now, which is court awareness or field awareness. Is we need
Mm.
people in the business to be aware of what needs to be done. They don't need to be told what to do. They should be able to see from their peripherals what needs to be done. But I've been able to kind of see that, like, trends with businesses and where things are going. And I have a blessing or curse, whatever you want to call it, but um, I can't I can't settle. Like if I have my eyes on something, I have to go for it. And I decided that I have two choices. I could work corporate America and for the next 20 years, and I could just sock money away in the stock market. I'd probably retire earlier, but I would hate it. I would hate it every day. And I'm like, I'm not settling. I want to do something big. I want to do something I love to work on. And if it takes me longer to make money, so be it. So I chose option B. Um, and now, thank God, it's paying off. But it's I guess that awareness and that foresight of what life will be like. And I'm like, I'm not I'm not settling. I'm not giving in. I'm going to do what I want to do. Come hell or high water. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Is what I told
No,
myself.
I love that. How's that manifested in your fulfillment in what you do? Because my wife would tell you, I am the same way. There's the easy route. She's like, you could just make money doing this, but for some reason you do this. And and it's like, I can't
I
help
gotta
it.
take the hard way. I gotta.
Yeah.
Well, you know how it is. Like, and then nothing wrong if you're working a job. If you really enjoy what you do, you got to do what you do. But I'm like, you know what? I want that reoccurring revenue. I want a business that's generating more income than my corporate job. And I have more freedom to do what I want to do, like enjoy my hobbies, enjoy time traveling. And I told myself late 30s, I'm just over 40 now, but late 30s, I'm like, I'm doing it. I found something here, and I'm going to commit to something, and I'm going to pivot and pivot and pivot until I find product market fit and I find happy customers, because I want that lifestyle. I'm like, I know what I want to do. I know where I want to go in life, and I'm not settling. It's just one of those deals. They say the phrase like you burn the boats, like they used to do
Yeah.
when the pilgrims came from Europe. You arrive at the States and the burn of the boats. That's it. We're committing. And it was that
Yeah.
kind of mindset. Like, I'm committing. I'm not going back to corporate America, even though if I had to, dire straits, I could. But told myself, nope, not going back.
Mhm. I love that you said that little added point, dire straits, because so many people they equate the risk, and this is where the fear in the back of our heads, our amygdala is
Yeah.
lying to us, making us think we're going to die if we don't
Yeah.
accomplish this goal, or if I quit this job, I'm homeless, I'm dead, and there's there's no more life in me. But
Yeah.
that's not the case, right? It's the worst case scenario is you go back to your job, you go back to corporate America, maybe not in the same environment or the same setup that you wanted or liked, but you have that. And it's a little
Hmm.
mental game I play of what's the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario is
Yes.
not as bad as what we think it is, but we're really risking the life that we don't want for the life that we actually want.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
going to say something.
You're totally right. Like, what I love that comment you made about what is the worst that could happen. And you're right, it's not as bad as you think. I think you're right. Fear builds up and it creates this mountain, this monster that's much more inflated than what it really needs to be. So, yeah, overcoming fear was a mindset process change I did go through. And it took 5 years to get us to a point like we're hitting our breakthrough year. But I mean, I tell you, like year two, year three, praying to God, like, okay, should I be doing this thing? Like, am I on the right path? Should I? And I just, none of the signs pointed to, yeah, you need to give this up. It was just like, nope, you stay the course. You stay the course whether you like it or not. I'm like, all right. I mean, just to be transparent with you, the first 3 years, I didn't take any salary. And then fourth year, minimum wage. And then fifth year, now I'm starting to pay myself a little bit, but it's like started off the year just over minimum wage. Like, how many people at age 40 want to go for minimum wage? Like, sign me up. But it's like you have to see the forest through the trees, the vision of like a highly scalable SaaS business. And fortunately, I analyze a lot of stocks in the market. So I see that trajectory of these businesses that start out like they're not going anywhere. And all of a sudden it's like a hockey stick growth to the nth degree, because they're a leveraged business model with high scalability. You get the right channel partner, right distribution, you can go from, 100 subscribers to 10,000 like that in one day. That's a
Yeah.
very real situation. That the revenue change at that point it's almost ridiculous, but it is in the realm of possibility. So you have to create that engine or that vehicle in your life that has that capability. And that's why I kept telling myself, I'm like, yeah, I got the right tool. It's just not happening as fast as I'd like, but
Yeah. But
deal
then
with
you
it.
have the system for scalability, the system for
Yeah.
growth. And some
Yeah.
companies find themselves in a position where they're not ready to grow. And that growth is what ends up taking them out because they haven't positioned
Yeah.
themselves in a successful way.
You're right, and we won't go to too much detail unless you want to, but there are businesses that don't optimize correctly. So when they start bringing in more customers, the machine crumbles. It's like a house of cards; it just
Yeah.
falls apart. And fortunately, my past background is a lot of in process engineering, manufacturing. Like I worked for Kohler for years in GE, so it's very rigorous, system based, process focused, and you want to work out the kinks before you hit those inflection points. So when you do, you can fly like a rocket. But if, like you were alluding to, it's you don't get the right processes in place, like you're gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
that.
And
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough to be pretty small team right now where I can
Hmm.
see something as small as an updated YouTube video with all the connected processes into my emails and stuff.
Yeah.
One trickle could spiral, and there's collateral impacts that are
Yeah.
sometimes unforeseen until you see that needle get moved. Um,
Yeah.
Tell me about the aha moment. Tell me about the moment you were like, "Oh, this piece, the education piece, and
Yeah.
putting it all together."
If iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another. But if you're a man and you're alone or listening to this, then who sharpens you? What's going on, guys? Ted Phaeton here, host of the Modern Man podcast, also founder of the Noble Knights Mastermind Group. And I'm just out here encouraging you to find your circle. Maybe you're on a personal growth journey and nobody around you understands the new mentality that you're possessing. That's okay. You can find an online community that will pour into you, will navigate your goals and navigate your obstacles, share their experiences, resources, and more. Join the Noble Knights Mastermind Group and try us out for free to tap into a community of men helping each other scale up and reach their goals.
Check out themodernmanpodcast.com.
Yeah. So it was around 2015. Over 5 years, I was barely keeping up with S&P 500, which by that point was about 8 to 10% per year. Yet at the same time, I knew that Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger were able to consistently beat the market, consistently. And even Warren Buffett has stated, if I were managing $10 million, I could make 50% per year. I was like, whoa, like that's quite a statement. And I knew, and you probably agree with this, is I knew that he and Charlie, they're not gambling men. They don't use feelings or emotions to pick stocks, which means they're starting with some sort of logic. And my software engineering background is like, all right, so they're starting with math. The question is, what is the math they start with? So I went down the YouTube rabbit hole, everything related to value investing or Warren Buffett investing, and then anything related to investing I would read. And I tell you, the amount of fluff out there, it's a lot of noise. But I did find a guy, a value investor by the name of Phil Town. He wrote a few good books, and he was the first guy that provided some of the calculus in the books. And I'm like, ooh, I think we've got something here. Because he was looking at more than just like give you context here. There are a lot of people even in Wall Street that'll pick like stocks based on market cap and P/E ratio, which are very misleading. It's like if you ever seen Moneyball,
Yes.
it's the old way of picking baseball players, like, oh, he's got a good jawline, or the ball really pops off the bat. Like that criteria does not win games. And as you know how
Yeah.
the story played out, it's based on does he get on base? Was it Brad Pitt's character hires Jonah Hill's character, and the rest is history with Moneyball. But it's like, okay, nobody's putting enough rigor into this, like process engineering or using a lens on the stock market from a process engineering standpoint. In other words, looking at a lot of data points, but rolling it up to something easy to understand. So anyway, put all this calculus into Excel, add my own flavor to it, added a point system to it, and then a rating system based on the traffic light. I'm like, I need to make it easy for me to make a decision. It should be either like stocks and ticker are either on sale, watch, or overpriced, green, gray, or red. And I used that for the next year, beat the market. I went to 15%. I was like, all right, I'm onto something. The next year, I went to 16%. The year after that, went to 80%. And then I think after that, it trailed down to the 50%. But my returns over 4 years ranged between 15 and 50%. In fact, they're closer to 50%. And that was the aha moment around 2019. I'm like, I think I've got something here. There's low competition for this type of tool. My
Yeah.
returns are crazy. And I started sharing this Excel sheet with a few other people, and everybody's like, you should turn this into a software so I can use it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so that was like the green light, like, all right, let's do this. And that was the moment I was still working corporate, but I'm like, I'm going to bootstrap this. And I bootstrapped Tykr 3 years. In other words, kept my day job for 30 years before going all in.
Hmm.
But yeah, 2019 was the aha moment and took a year to build the first version. But that was the moment when I'm like, this is an idea that has some legs under it. And I'm like I said earlier, I'm going to pivot and pivot and pivot if I have to, but there's something here. It's close enough to bullseye that I think I've got something here that can create the lifestyle I want. So,
Yeah, I love that process of really proof of the self, because a lot of these endeavors, a lot of entrepreneurs who come on the show, they really talk about building a product or a service out of necessity for themselves. And
mhm.
after you use this for a while, you're like, well, it's working for me, as some of the best affiliates and some of the best quote unquote influencers in the world are like, hey,
Mhm.
this is what works for me. Perhaps it would work for you. And naturally, others want the same results. They want the same outcomes, so that they'll follow suit. What was it like navigating that span? Because a lot of our listeners, they have an idea, they have the inception of a business, and they're working full time, and they're currently serving two masters, and that could be a very daunting spot to be in. I feel like
Yes.
I feel like I'm talking to your soul right now. um,
Yes.
but what was that like, and how'd you navigate that?
Yeah, that was because like bootstrapping, you keep your day job. You can't do two full-time jobs. So I told myself, all right, I'm gonna carve out 10 to 15 hours a week. And my wife and I are big on we don't work weekends because we're really big on work-life balance. So I'm like, I got to figure out how to find 10 to 15 hours a week, which I was able to do. I would work a little bit before work. I'm a morning guy, so I hit the gym, come home, and I got some time before the corporate job kicks off or the meeting marathon begins. You know what I'm
Yep.
talking about there. Or a lot of the listeners probably do too. But yeah, I could get like an hour or two within in on the day, lunch hour, another hour, and then tail end of the day I could as well. And that I was able to do it, to get enough done. And how I approached that is my dad taught me philosophy, which is do that which generates revenue first. If you got 50
Mm,
items on your list, rank order them on what produces the most revenue and focus on that. Because as you know, most people starting a business, you can get caught up in a lot of things that don't produce revenue. And people in corporate America remember middle management. They would work on like the fonts and colors of PowerPoints for like a week straight. I'm like, guys, you are killing me here. This generates no revenue for the business. But yeah. So,
yeah.
in our case, it's like, okay, serving the customer, getting feedback from the customer. How do we make a better product? Reducing churn, finding channel partners. Like all those things are key revenue generators. And then there's like 1,000 other things to work on. Well, guess what? They all get pushed to the sideline.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to figure out what generates revenue first and do that until your business is making some money. And then you can jump from that ship to go full time in your business. It takes a lot of self discipline.
No, no, absolutely. And actually, not to go on a tangent, but I do want to ask some of your strategies and approaches, because I do coach on time management and productivity. And one thing you said, which I always tell,
Mhm.
is like, I can help you get 10 extra hours in your week with some of the strategies that I practice and that I teach on. Um, I'm curious as to how did you identify the priorities of those revenue driving activities? What was some of the frameworks or strategies you approached for that?
Well, fortunately, and I think a lot of listeners can relate to this. You're working in a company. You should know what products or services generate revenue, and how do they generate? Like, what's the sales process look like? Is it an online product people buy on their own, or is there a sales cycle? Like you got to be in a Zoom call or a phone call. You figure out what are the different steps to go from like product to revenue, and you kind of break those down. So I knew with a SaaS, we're considered a low touch SaaS. There's really three categories of SaaS. There's B2C, which we are, but we sell primarily B2B2C, meaning we sell through channel partners or distributors. So that's
Hmm.
category one. Category two would be B2B SMB, which is small and mid-sized business. That's, think of like your MailChimps and Intuits of the world, which can range between like 30 to $300 a month. And then from there, you've got an enterprise. And that's when, that's more high touch, where contracts can be $10,000 and up to like, a few $1,000,000 a year. And
Hmm.
I've kind of had experience with the whole gamut, but I knew B2C is low touch. I don't need to be on Zoom calls. I don't have to call any customers. It's kind of like selling Netflix. Like, you joining Netflix, you did not talk to somebody to join Netflix, right? It's like
Yeah.
you sign up. If you like the platform, you add your credit card. If not, you move on to something else. So our model's similar. So the question then is, okay, how do we get as many people into top of funnel as possible? Well, that is through distributors. Where are the most people hanging out? You can connect with influencers that talk about finance, or bloggers, or other fintechs. We're fortunately, we can go into detail on this if you want, but we're now starting to partner with the top of the food chain channel partners, which are brokers. Brokers have the most retail investors all in one clean location. Robinhood has like 27 million people. We don't have them as a channel partner, but hopefully that door opens soon. But it's like we can help a lot of those customers. But you figure out from a time management standpoint what generates revenue, and only focus on those things. Try to kick the other things out of the way. And that helped create self discipline in my schedule, even now full time on Tykr. Like, what do I need? I literally have a Google sheet that rank orders. I use it to rank order my tasks, and I kind of
Hmm.
color coordinate like high priority to low. And every day I'm like because what's nice about Google Sheets, you can just drag and drop, whereas Excel, it's not as slick. And it's like, all right,
Yeah.
so I've got these three things must be done. These three things below it, maybe, you know. So that keeps me hyper focused, and what I need to get done in the lowest amount of time, it helps compress the time, in other words.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I talk a lot about the Eisenhower matrix, which is the do, defer,
Mhm.
delegate, delete, and one of those four things. Very
Uh,
similar to you, and then
yeah.
you have it broken down. It's like, okay, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to defer that later. Or I'm going to delegate that, and sometimes it's best just to delete it. Like the font, I'm going Arial, black and white. That's all I need to start.
Thank you. Right? Like, nobody cares if your PowerPoint's Arial or Calibri or whatever. Like, oh
Mhm.
man, if we could talk about corporate America cringe stuff, but that was one of them. It's killed me. Killed me.
No, I hear that, and I love this. So, just to pull in some research, a 2022 study in the Journal of Economic Behavior and Organization found that financial literacy significantly increases the likelihood of stock market participation and long-term wealth accumulation. So, educating folks on what could be uh, at first something that looks daunting. Looks like there's a huge barrier of entry. You kind of ease that blow with the education piece. Talk a little bit about how Tykr is helping with that education piece and what you found as you started to roll out and get users and more people to experience what you've built, how that's helped them in their success.
Yeah. Yeah. To give you context there, an aha moment was around 2021 and by that point, Tykr was highly focused on the easy to understand analytics, like our rating system inspired by the traffic light. But then I started looking at this whole movement of micro learning, and I was looking at Duolingo. And at that point, they had like 300 to 400 million users. Now it's like over 600. But I'm like, okay, so they're doing something right with language learning. That many users all in one ecosystem to learn whatever language you want in as little time as possible using micro learning modules. I'm like, bingo, that's what we need to do. So We've done that with financial education built into Tykr, like the mobile app. We have incorporated those micro learning modules, like that kind of like swipe right, swipe left to learn something really quick. Because you want to compress the learning curve for people. Because we do have courses, which we call nice to have, but it's better to like, if people can learn something in like 3 days or 15 minutes, like give them the 15 minutes. Like, let's get
Yeah.
from A to B now. And so we try to do that with our easy analytics, and nobody in the market has really put in the effort to do that. Like I can say this now because we're 5 years in. 2 years ago, we're still getting there, you could say, but now it's like none of our competitors have anything close to what we have, but it just takes so darn long to create a mature tech stack. So that's the key
Yeah.
thing. Micro learning modules, Duolingo. Take a note from Duolingo.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And when it comes to the micro learning, for any of the listeners right now who to their experience when it comes to investing is I give to my 401k. How's that? What are some of the a crash course if we had 5-10 minutes, right, to just get
Yep.
someone to make their first purchase, buy their first stock or whatnot? What are some of the introduction or the introductory insights you would give or some instructions you would
Yeah.
share?
So fortunately, joining Tykr, it's a free to join platform. And then just to be transparent with your audience, it's a low subscription thereafter. It's like $15 a month or $99 a year for the prices thereafter. So we're pretty low barrier, and our competitors are somewhere around those prices too. But when you join, you get a new tip every day, or you can skip all the emails and just go right to our blog, which has them all listed out. But it's got things like, where do you start? When do you buy? When do you sell? How many stocks should you hold? The difference between wealth building and wealth protection, because they're different strategies. Long story short, our 401k and financial advisors are focused on protecting your wealth. So if people want to build their wealth, yet they're going all in on a 401k, it's like, showing up. The analogy I use is you show up to the Indy 500 with like a 1995 Dodge Neon. I mean, the
Yeah.
fastest you're going to go is 100 miles an hour, whereas everybody else is going like 230. Like, you have the wrong tool for the job. So we educate people on those basics. And that's like the best place to start is join Tykr, go through the education, and within seriously 15 minutes, you are armed and dangerous. And it's really logical. It's really simple. And we tell people your first strategy then is to invest about $1,000 or less. You don't want to get rich right away. It's all about increasing confidence. We've done extensive A/B testing on that. And the number one thing, get this, the number one thing people care about is not so much building wealth or getting rich or retiring early. Like, that's all nice. What people want most is literally to invest confidently on your own. If they can do that, that's the touchdown. That's the best feeling
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah, I remember when I took our portfolio from our financial advisor, I started managing it, and after a little while, I looked at my wife, I'm like, "Baby, I'm doing it. I'm actually doing it. I didn't lose all our money yet, yet." Jury's still
So
out to that, but
you, not to sell you on Tykr, but you use Tykr. I mean, you're golden. I mean, it sounds like you
yeah,
already got a good start, but now you would have the reassurance, like, okay, so let's say you got 3 stocks that are on the fence of being good or bad. It's like, all right, trim those. Here's what I know what to focus on. You double down.
I love the stoplight idea because we have very similar mindsets in that in terms of like systems and just simplicity, and then just
Yeah.
green, yellow, red.
I give you transparency on that. When I was creating this Excel sheet working on Tykr, I knew, I'm like, I got to figure out how to roll up all these, because I'll give transparency here and I won't go into detail, but we look at like the growth rates of revenue quarter over quarter over the last 4 years. So there's 16 quarters. We also look at the same
Yeah,
thing with net income, EPS, free cash, debts, liability. There's a lot of data points. And I'm like, all right, I got to figure out a way to display this to myself so I can make sense of this in like seconds. And I'm like, you know what? I was asking myself the question, what is the easiest to understand rating system around the world? And I'm like, you know what? The traffic light. Doesn't matter what language you speak or what country you're located in. Everybody gets the whole green, yellow, red. So that's why I arrived at the whole green, gray, red on sale, watch over price. So all right. So I can literally log in within seconds, know is this a winner or is this a loser? And I love doing it now because influencers or people on Wall Street will recommend a stock. I'll log in a ticker and be like, yeah, what you're recommending is total garbage. So I'm going to avoid
Yeah.
that.
I would ask one question when it comes to folks who are investing on their own, looking for guidance, perhaps they're considering ticker or whatnot. What is one of the number one mistakes you see investors make? Something that they're like,
Yeah.
ooh, shouldn't do that.
Yeah. So the two questions people ask most are, when do I buy? When do I sell? And it's like this innate behavior of as soon as somebody buys a stock, they're immediately like, all right, when do I sell? So the biggest mistake people make is they're selling early. You want to buy and then buy more. So you're typically, in Motley Fool, I give those guys a ton of credit because they use the phrase net buyer. You want to be buying significantly more than you're selling. So you're going to find a few good stocks and you keep buying those month after month after month until they completely turn to garbage. Then you sell for a profit to move something else. But yeah, I see people, they'll like buy a stock and then sell it a month later, buy another. It's like, it's all this noise for no money. You want to use compound interest and you can't use compound interest if you're selling early. Don't sell
Yeah.
early.
Yeah. I don't want to take a shot to a certain group of people, but I mean, I'll just say it
Please.
outright. But what do you think of? I have a lot of friends who are ambitious day traders, looking to day trade or whatnot.
Let's dive into that.
Go for it.
So our first article on Tykr when you join is, what is the difference between investing and trading? And here we go. So 99% of traders, statistically speaking, actually lose money. Investing is where you want to be. So that's number one. Number two is trading. You are still trading your time for a paycheck like any other job. The unfortunate side is I've talked to quite a few traders and they're like, Sean, a short day is 12 hours. A short day. You want to be pushing about 16-hour day. In most cases, you're not going to make a profit. To me, it's not a wise use of time, right?
Yeah.
One of the last things, and there's an article, I think it touches on 3 or 4 differences, but here's the question for you, which is, there are about 3,000 billionaires in the world. How many of those do you think are traders? And how many of those do you think are investors? I'll let you take a guess.
I would go 0% traders, 100% investors.
You are one of the first people I've ever talked to get that right. It is 0% traders. And the billionaires in the world, they are either stock investors. They could be public companies or private. Private would be like your venture capitalist or private equity. Real estate investors or entrepreneurs, they're investing in themselves. That's where the billionaires fall. So yeah, it's the long-term buying and then reinvesting more as opposed to the trading, entering, exiting. That is you might as well go to the local casino and you'll probably have better chances of making money. To be honest with you.
No.
Yeah.
Put it all on black.
Yeah,
That's
right?
Yeah. I'm glad because that was actually one of my next questions was going to be the difference between trading and investing.
Yeah.
What do you have in terms of your goals and your expectations for Tykr and what you hope for as folks find and use and get more education?
Yeah.
What are your hopes and dreams?
So thank God for opening these doors. But my goal the last 2 years or so was to partner up with brokers because they are literally like if you're in the physical product world, they're like the equivalent of like getting a distributor such as Costco or Home Depot or even Walmart. I mean, they're massive. And we're starting to close those deals. And the reason is we are now showing proof of solving one of the biggest problems that brokers has. And I'll give you some of those numbers now. So get this. Most brokers have an issue where people join and then they sit. They'll sit for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and they make very few transactions. Get this. The average account size at a lot of brokers can range between $5,000 and $7,000. That causes 2 issues. One is that investor is not going to build their wealth. And number 2, brokers are not going to make money off those people. Unfortunately, they're making money. For example, Robinhood, since they're public, I can give the numbers, but Robinhood in 24 generated about $3 billion over 50% comes from transactions. Even though they're free, there's still a small fee behind the scenes called a spread fee or payment for order flow. And I was talking to a broker 2 years ago. They're like, Sean, yeah, we all brokers, we all call retail investors tire kickers. They join and they sit. And we're joking. I'm like, all right, so what if I could show proof that we can get people off the bench and in the game? And
Mm,
this particular broker was like, all right, if you can show proof that you're making or motivating people to make more transactions, healthy transactions, not just trading behavior, but real like powerful investments, reinvesting in good stocks over and over, then he's like, we're going to want an exclusive relationship. And my response to that was, no, I'm going to use you as a case study and go right down the street to XYZ broker. And he starts
exactly.
laughing and he's like, okay, so we probably have to buy Tykr out. So fast forward to today, I really have two options at this point. One is I can continue building Tykr, serving as many brokers as possible, helping them solve their problem, which looks like a great trajectory at this point. I love building Tykr. That's option A. Option B is if a broker were to approach me and say, hey, we do want exclusivity. What's your offer? What's your price? It would be a buyout offer. Both are wins. I'm struggling with which one do I want, you know? So
Yeah.
what's better for the long term for the retail investor is option A, because we can help more people. But option B is like, my wife would like that idea faster because it pays off our house faster. We can
Mhm.
travel more. So, got to pick a path here. Praying for wisdom, I guess you could say. So
I hear that. I hear that. And I'm praying for your discernment moving forward as well. So
thank
I
you.
always love saying, instead of worrying about making the right decision, just know that you'll make the decision right, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Good one. Good one.
One of my last questions in it when it comes into with technology, the emergence of AI, and
Yeah.
while you're building everything on the back end, 2015, sure, there's machine learning or whatnot, but nothing like really Pandora's box that has opened up in the last 2 years with AI and its use case. How has that helped with the application of Tykr and its growth and some of the things on the back end that you've been able to work on and incorporate?
Yeah, well, we knew we had to get ahead of it a little bit. So we actually have a feature that's patented in Tykr. We call the 4M Confidence Booster. And long story short, I'll keep the 4Ms real quick here. The first M is the math part of investing, which is all the financials, which we roll up in Tykr. The second M is the meaning. How does the business make money? How many revenue streams does it have? And how scalable are those revenue streams? The third M is the moat, how the business compares to the competition. And then that last M is the management. That's the track record of the CEO. Doing homework on those last three M's could take you hours, if not days, of research. We reduce it down to seconds with a little help from OpenAI. We do use a lot of mathematics to create rigor with OpenAI, and this took like 6 months of prompt engineering on its own. But
Hmm.
that tool really solidifies. It's not 100% guaranteed, but if you can get a score over 80, we've got a back testing feature in Tykr, and it just blows the market out of the water. We're talking well over doubling the returns of the stock market. So I knew,
Wow.
I'm like, okay, so this reduces the time to seconds and it's beating market. We got to get patent on that. Now I won't go into detail here, but you can't patent software, but you can patent process. So the 4M process, we did put a patent on that. So yeah, thanks to OpenAI, that feature there is a killer time saver. I used to do it manually before, and it was just a pain in the butt.
Ooh,
It's huge now.
yeah. Look at us now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure, Sean, that folks can follow you, connect with you, and learn from Tykr, get access to the app and all the work that you guys are doing and rolling out. What are some of the best resources, links, and places for the folks to find you guys?
Yeah. If you want to check out Tykr, tykr.com, you can join for free. And then the second location would be LinkedIn. I'm highly active on LinkedIn. Sean is spelled Sean, the Sean Connery way.
I like that. I like that. Better looking though. Our Sean is better looking.
Younger. I did not play
Yeah.
James Bond. I'm American, so I'd never qualify, but yeah. Yeah.
Last question is usually the heaviest, and I'll have those links in the show notes, by the way, for anybody who's watching, listening. If you're on YouTube, it's in the description below. You go ahead and hit those links to get right to the destination. But Sean, what is something you've seen or something that's happened to you that shapes the way you view the world as a man?
Oh gosh, we could be here for hours. It's like a collection of many things. You know what? I would, the older I get, the better perspective I have of how hard my parents worked, and just really like the amount of integrity, like you doing the right thing when nobody's looking, even if doing the right thing equates to not generating any revenue. It's like you can go to bed at night and sleep better on, like, I did the right thing as opposed to cutting a corner and making more money, which you can agree, you see that in business left and right. So I think watching their example, um, as I got older, I was like, yeah, they did it right. So I'm trying to live by that standard.
Amen to that. Love and
Yeah.
appreciate you, brother. Sean Tepper, founder and CEO of Tykr, an investing platform that empowers more than 12,000 customers across 50 plus countries to navigate the stock market with confidence. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks, Ted. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm going to recap a couple gems that you left along the way really quick. I know a lot of folks are driving, cleaning, working out while listening. You got one more set. Don't put the bar down. I got you taken care of. How to get money working for me? It's a question that a lot of us unfortunately don't ask until we've traded so much time for money. We finally get tired of it. Well, maybe you could ask that question before you reach your end point, before you reach that catalyst that requires you to ask the question again. The subscription play is where you want to be. Court awareness, field awareness. Are you stuck watching the ball and you're not aware of the trends that's happening around you? Well, then you might miss the boat. And the unfortunate thing is that boat only comes once. So make sure that you're having situational awareness on the trends of the world around you. Pivot and pivot until you find product market fit. What you're doing might not be the problem, but you might just have to tweak and massage things just a little bit in order to get the revenue flowing. And it's not as bad as you think. When you look at getting into the stock market, when you look at a lot of the things that you're afraid of, oftentimes we suffer more in our imagination than we do in reality. And I need to make it easy for me to make a decision. A lot of us get analysis from paralysis, but what if you had an easy system? Is it green? Is it red? Is it gray? Which means you watch. Which one is it? If you have that simple breakdown, maybe that gives you clarity of motion, which is how you get to the next step. Do that which generates revenue first. You have a long list of things to do. You're a business owner, or maybe you're an entrepreneur, and you have all these tasks piling up. Where do you start? What makes you money? That's a great place to start. And then buy, and then buy some more until you then sell. So many folks think they want to be traders versus investors, but 99% of traders lose money. 99% of traders, not 99 traders. There's a lot more than 99 traders, but 99% of them lose money. Investing is where you want to be. Guys, if you need help, education, reach out to Sean, find Tykr, and make sure to lower that barrier of entry to your financial future, to your wealth, and to the life that you know you deserve to live, because you have goals just like Sean and myself, and I want you guys to reach them. One of those goals is to grow the podcast. You can help me with that by hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, sharing this with someone else you know can get value from it as well. And also leave us a rating. Let us know how we're doing. You can leave an honest rating. I could take it. I have thick skin, but it's the only way that we get better and we serve you. I appreciate you guys making it to the end. And as we always say, everybody wants the sunshine, but they don't want the rain. But you can't get the pleasure without first the pain. Let's go.